What is going on, guys? This is going to be the first part of our advanced RPG Maker tutorial for creating a custom title screen. And what a title screen is when you start the game, you'll have the option to start, to load, or exit the program. And of course, if you don't want to be stuck using the default title screen, this is how you would bypass it. Now, I'm going to try to use as little as scripting as possible, if not none. For a title screen, though, we might have to use one small script to stop the title screen from appearing, and maybe to load commands like exit the program completely. But aside from that, it should be very minimal. And once you do learn the concepts of how to do this, at least without not scripting, you should be able to create some of the other custom stuff as well, like a custom battle system or a custom menu system. And so the only thing that you're going to really need is a few programs. If you want it to be utterly basic, you just really need MS Paint. You can make this as complex as you really want this, and as detailed as you want it as well. It depends on how well you are or how versed you are in your graphics program, whether it be MS Paint, Photoshop, or whatever you're currently using. But let's talk about a title screen a bit. Now, I'm not going to dive into RPG Maker just yet. But we should talk about what's inside of inside an actual title screen. So, just as a graphical concept, we should have the actual title itself. So, we should have something called some kind of text, just so you know what the what it's called. Well, that's what I said. And once you have the text, you should also have a few buttons as well. So you have the text here. Let's turn on transparency. You should also have a few buttons. You should have at least new game, continue if you want to do that, and exit game. And then as soon as you have these three items or these four items, you basically have a very basic title screen. Now, you can do whatever the heck you want with this. Especially with RPG Maker, everything that's used in the tools you can do. So you're really going to be manipulating the title screen with pictures, variables, and character movement. So if you want, say, your title screen to be at the very top and then it just flows right into it, as long as you know how to move the pictures around inside RPG Maker, that's exactly how you would do it. But before we really get into that, we do need to talk about resolution as well. Now, if I just loaded this straight into RPG Maker, what's going to happen is it's going to take the center of the picture and try to display it as center as possible. So you would have to try to align everything the best you can, which none of us like to do half the time. So there's a shorter or an easier way to do it. What I have on my desktop is a picture that I've already exported from RPG Maker, and you'll see it's just the sword. Now, this is actually one of the title screens, so if you actually export this title screen, you'll notice that this is the perfect resolution to use or to base your title screens off of. And you don't necessarily have to use the sword itself. Just take the whole image, select everything by clicking Control A, copy it, then load whatever program you want. And by the way, if you'll notice that I'm using the older version of MS Paint versus the newer one with Windows 7. Paste it in, and you should automatically have the resolution. And I believe the resolution's at like 530 something by, well, let's find out. It's 544 by 416. So the nice thing is that because I have this resolution, because it's already inside inside my graphics program, anything that I put on this screen will show up exactly wherever the hell you put it. So if you put, say, a square over here, actually let's make everything black, and let's make it red. And then, because don't forget in RPG Maker you can select a transparent color, so red it'll be. If you put squares at the very edge of the screen, so maybe one here, top right, bottom left. These four squares will show up exactly where we left them. So Again, this is literally the very corner of your viewable screen, and so is this as well. So anything in between can be displayed, and it will display exactly where you put them in the game. And what I mean by this is that if you create, say, some kind of title, that's good enough. Don't really care. Let's just position it exactly where we want it. And what I like about the old MS Paint is, or at least I'm pretty sure it gives this to you in the new one too, but it gives you these guidelines at the very top and bottom of the image, the exact center. So if you really just draw a line from that guideline, you should be able to get the exact center of your entire image. So you could really grid this out a bit. So if let's remove this. Let's put a new title. Let's call it Super Duper Adventure. And that's about the center. And then we'll have our buttons. New game. Continue and exit game. And just for the sake of being custom, we're going to move it to the side down here. And then let's get rid of our grid lines. You should have exactly, I mean, this picture will show up exactly where you place everything. And so you don't even have to put this in the center. You could put it at the top right if you wanted to. You could do really whatever the heck you want. And that's the nice thing about having this custom menu system. It doesn't have to look like it came straight out of the program. It could look like something that you've actually created yourself. But let's detail this a bit, just so we could get it a little bit more fancier, I guess. What I want to do is I want to take what the program's currently using as its message box, and then maybe wrap it around the whole message, so it looks like it is part of the game, just that it's more custom. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Let me first off, let me turn down the music because it's going to blast in your ear. Just a moment. System title. Bring that down. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. Hold on. What I'm basically doing is I'm creating what I need, and then I'm gonna do a print screen on it so I could take exactly what I want from the game itself. Again, so I'm taking resources directly from the game, so it looks a little bit more natural, and you'll see what I mean. Show message, show nothing. That's good. Ah, darn it, I hit cancel. Okay, so when I start the game, okay, I'm going to take a screen capture. And there you go, I have the screen, or the image of whatever was on my screen earlier. I'm just going to take the message box. And you'll notice that it fits perfectly inside my inside the image that I'm using, because, well, again, it's I'm taking it, or I took it directly from one of the title screens. And you know what? I don't want this crap in the middle. I really just wanted this border stuff. And so I'm going to take this side. No, that's too much. Put it back, and let's get rid of the extra colors. And get rid of this center stuff in the middle as well. You know, there should be an easier... No, there isn't. I just try the best I can to remove it. And I'll show you a few effects that you could do. Again, this is going to be for a very basic title screen. You could do whatever the heck you want to make it more complex. You really just have to use your imagination. And there you go. I basically took the border of your messages. I mean, of course, you could probably just export the proper resource for it, but I'm lazy, so this is how I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to extend this out a bit. Oop. And I should now have an empty box. And I'm going to use this as a border for both our title screen and our game selection at the very bottom right, or action or whatever. We're almost done. Okay, raise it up just a tad bit more. Okay. Now, when you do this, you do have to remember that you have to operate in layers. So you have to prioritize what comes over what. So color should go under an actual interface itself. So anything that should not be colored, you should have it on one layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the actual messages themselves, including the frames around them, as the toppest layer. And then right below that, we're going to use color, and we're going to fade that a bit, just so you get, again, a more custom looking menu. And let me just go ahead and fix that really quick. And then turn off transparency, move this up just a tad bit. Okay, that should be good. Now the other thing that you have to consider is your cursor. How do you want the cursor to react with your game? Do you want it to highlight with a box, or do you want to have an arrow be pointed at it or something? If so, you just have to accommodate for it. So in my case, I'm gonna... How do I want to do it? You know what, let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's make it left and right instead. So I'll just get rid of that. And take that out. I just want another copy of this. There you go. Shrink that down a tad bit. Oh, well, I messed that one up. Okay, so put new game. And then I'm going to just draw a guideline just so I could get them on the same exact spot. And then we'll do continue. And of course, exit game. Okay, so that's sort of not aligned, but whatever. This is not supposed to be perfect. Well, I mean, I would assume if you're going to do it, it should be perfect, but for the sake of learning. Okay. So now that we have that, we need to figure out our position, how exactly I want this to pan out. Maybe I'll have the new game continue at the very bottom. I'll have a super duper adventure title in the very middle. And then I'll just want to check if that's center. For the most part that is centered. And so this is going to be our topmost frame. Let's now do colors. So let's actually save this. Save this as a 24-bit image. Let's move it to my desktop. I don't want to call this title frame. Or no, let's do it title UI. And then now let's do color. And what I mean by this is let's go ahead and remove everything that's going to get in the way of our color. I want to make the background color maybe a light blue. Or whatever that kind of blue is. And you don't have to worry about the outmost frames of your boxes because you're going to have another layer on top of it anyways. And what we're going to do is we're going to stack the other image on top of this one, except we're going to fade the image in the back. That way it's going to look a little bit more translucent and you can see whatever's in the background. So let's save this again. Let's call this title color. And let's actually import this into our game now. Now, you have to import these as pictures, not as title screens, because we're not going to be using the in-game title screen. So, picture, import, do the color. Remember to select the red or whatever color that you're using as the translucent color. Same thing with the UI. And now we have two different images here. First, our actual title, and then the color that goes behind it. And I'm going to show you why I wanted to do it, use that transparency. I want to make a small map in the background just so I could have the title a little bit more active. And I'm not going to use this tile set, it sucks. So let's do our exterior. Let's use, let's do trees. I like trees. And again, I'm just really half-assing this. Just going to do a quick map. And I always like having things that move in the background, so let's add a little bit of water. You know what, let's not even do grass. That looks a little bit more natural. But that sort of doesn't. Whatever. And again, all we're doing is just designing a map that will go behind our picture. Okay, that's good enough. And then I'm going to treat this like any other map. So I'm going to add a little bit more effects to it. Of course, let's find some kind of music to go along with it. And turn the volume down a bit. Good enough. Let's see if there's any background noises we could use. There you go. And it's still playing. I'll get rid of that in a minute. Let me turn off that BTS. Okay, and so now that we have our map, I'm going to add some more effects to it. I'm going to tint the entire screen. Let's make it dark, so dark is usually more blue than anything else. Have it instant, don't wait for completion. Let's also put some rain effects. Weather, rain, not so powerful. Very good. And let's do a self switch on the second page. So first page, self switch, turn it on. So this will turn off after these these effects are turned on. And so we also need to display our pictures. So let's go to page 2, show picture. And again, you have to think about layering. So as the first picture, we want to do color, because on top of the color is going to be our interface. So let's do the color first. And again, like I said earlier, we want to make this translucent. So lower the opacity by, I'd say, to 170. Let's do another picture, and I just did a copy and paste there. Press spacebar to edit the current object selected, and change the number to 2. Because again, everything under 2 will be stacked on stacked below. So, and let's put our UI on it. And then don't change anything else, but change the opacity back to 255. So what should happen is that you should automatically see something on the screen when you play this. So let's hit play. Hit, do I have title music? I think I do. Let's see how this looks. One more thing. Sorry, I needed to stop that. Okay, it's already on the parallel process, good. So, test play, and let's see how it looks. There you go. So this is a very, 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 very basic title screen. We still need to program some more of the stuff on it, but let's exit this part. And now we need to start doing the cursor. Now the cursor is going to be really freaking fun because it's, well, it's not hard, it's just positioning and getting it to actually work. Now, we're going to use an old technique back in the old RPG makers that worked very well. And we, back in the day, we didn't have the option to skip the title screen without using some kind of third-party tool. But now that scripting is involved, it's much easier. But the first thing I want to do is I need to get rid of my character because I need it to be blank. Otherwise, you're going to see exactly how this is going to be manipulated. But the person that's playing the game should not see the character at all. So I need to find something that is blank. I don't think that it's going to have anything. Oh, there you go. So our character is going to be blank. You're not going to be able to see anything at all. So let's keep that in mind and let's move back to our old image. And I want you to open up the UI again because we're going to get the exact positioning of everything. Let's go ahead and let's use the old MS Paint. Yeah, get that back up. Get that back in there. Get rid of this old stuff. And again, because we need to make the cursor now, and however the heck you want to do it. What I like to do though is I like to use whatever's already in the game. So what I did was I exported the icon set that's included with RPG Maker, and we're going to use one of these that's already in here. So let's go ahead and edit it. Let's find something that we like. And again, these are icons that are already inside the game that you have access to. So this isn't something that I'm really drawing up. I mean, of course, if you want to make it a little fancier and do it yourself, fine. But I'm not an artist, so I'm going to choose this feather right here. Okay. So one thing that you can do is you could position this feather anywhere that you want. And then you could have it move left and right as you are manipulating the map. The idea is that when you press left, you want this feather to move to continue, and then left again, you need it to move to escape. And we'll talk about the concept in a bit, but let's go ahead and place it exactly where we need it. And so there's two methods of doing this. This is the easier method. Of course, you could save more images and save more RAM if you do it this other way, but for the sake of easiness, I'll show you this way first. So I'm going to position this exactly where I want it under New Game, and then I'm going to remove everything else. Okay, so then I'm going to save as select _ new game. Then I'm going to put everything back. Let's move title UI back. And now what I like to do is I want to try to get the coordinates of everything. So we probably need to write this down, but if you'll notice that if you have any kind of selection tool in the old MS Paint, at the very bottom right down here, you can see the coordinates of everything. And you'll notice if you move left, for the most part, only the first number is changing. So we need to keep this in mind when we're moving that cursor around. Let's go ahead and open up, say, sticky notes or something, just so we could jot some numbers. The position of the cursor will already appear, so we need to move the cursor. Let's see. So it's at 90 right now. Move it to 232. So open the calculator. Let's 90 minus 232 is equal to 142. And shut up, I already know. So the difference is going to be 142. And then we have 232 to 365. So clear 232 minus 365. Okay. 232 minus 365. Oh my god. 365 is equal to, it's 133. Okay, so we have these two numbers down, and what this is it's the difference between the distance between here and here, because we need to move our image by 142 pixels the first time around, and after that we need to then move it again by 133. So in reality, you're moving it when it's on exit game 142 plus 133 by 275 pixels to go to exit game. So then we're going to talk about how this is actually going to be done after we import that to our game. So let's go ahead and go back to pictures, import, select new game, of course make sure everything's translucent, very good. And then I'm going to display this on top of everything. So this is going to be another show picture, except we're going to change it to 3. Set the graphic to select new game. Okay, so let's play this. Let's see if it actually shows up. And it does. You can see new game is now, well, somewhat selected. So our next goal is to have this move left and right. And I do have to turn off the music so I could explain this a little bit better, but now the way that you're going to do this is that you're going to use a combination of both switches and variables, because in reality this is how it can be done if everything was set to a set of numbers. For example, if you have a variable called selection, and a selection will have an infinite amount of variables in it, and let's talk about switches as well, because in a programming sense, all a variable is going to be an integer, and all a switch is going to be is a boolean. So again, with integers, they're just whole numbers. You don't have to really deal with decimals, and booleans being true or false. So the idea is that you'll have a character standing somewhere, and you have two events on the left and right of him. And when he touches the right event, it'll increase the value of selection by 1. And you'll have another event that says if value is 1, and you select OK, then this is where the boolean comes in. If it's true, then you selected new game. Now if you press right again and face your character up when there's another event, it'll say set value, or selection value, to 2, and if you press OK, you are continuing the game, and the same thing with exit game. And again, this concept might be a little confusing at first, but let me demonstrate it some more. So I'm first going to create our event, and in fact, we may want to actually put our character back in the game. Just, I mean, not because it's going to be our final product, but just so you can see the concept of this. But I'm going to create 3 events. I'm going to first create. No, actually, let's create two events on the side. One event on the right side of our character. We're going to select the priority to same as character, so that way he can't pass this character. And you know, just so you could see how this is working, I'll put a graphic in here so that way you can physically see how the concept actually works. And in this, I'm going to have him. Anytime that the player actually touches this event, he's going to turn up. He's going to face up, so that way you can't hold the button right. You have to keep pressing it all. You'll see what I mean in a minute and why I'm going to do this. But this is going to be a very important event. And again, just like I said earlier, we're going to create a variable. So on page 1, we're going to call the first variable selection, and click OK. Oh, wait. Actually, sorry, we're going to actually add 1 to that. And then let's go to our, let's copy and paste this event left and right, and let's have this selection set to down. Where's subtract? There you go. And what's going to happen now, so again, anytime that this character faces the left chicken, I know it's a bad thing I'm using, but anytime he touches that, it's going to move our variable down by 1, and anytime he doesn't select, or he selects the right one, it'll move up by 1. And this is where our selection or our logic is going to come in. We have a couple of choices on how we want to handle this. You can either put all your commands inside the same map, or you could use what I like to use, and that's going to be a common event, because this is going to be something that's going to be very it's going to be used a lot, because you do need to keep checking on this. And to do this, click OK, and let's go into common events now. And I briefly went over what a common event is in my older videos, but if you don't know what this is, a common event is something that you could call that you frequently use. And so if you use a line of code that is quite, well, frequent, you could keep calling it over and over again, as long as it's going to be, as long as the conditions still apply. And so let's give our new common event called menu system trigger. Let's have it, well, only when you call it. So, and then let's put some events in this common event. So the first thing that we should do is that we should make sure that if you reach 0, then it resets the variable back to 1. This way you don't infinitely go to the negatives or infinitely go to the positives. So to achieve this, what you want to do is use a condition branch. And again, if you're a programmer, this is equivalent to if-then. It's an if-then statement. So condition branch, we're going to select a variable. Our selection variable, we're going to check if it's less than or equal to 0. Click OK. Actually, I want to take off the else clause. So if selection variable is less than 0, I want it to change the variable, set the variable selection back to 0. So what will happen is, if it goes to -1, it will automatically go back to 0. And in fact, we could even add another layer of coolness to this and have it play a sound when you get to that point. So if you go to page 3, let's find that sound effect thing. Oh, it's not even on page 3, watch. Yeah, page 2, just kidding. Sorry. Yeah, in the older games they moved everything around, that's why I'm a little confused on where they put them now. Let's find a sound effect. Not that one. Nope. Nope. There's a cancel. No. Raise that up a bit. Okay, that's good. And then, we need to do this for the positives too, so we'll copy and paste it. Hit select, or hit spacebar to edit our current command. We're going to do greater than or equal to 4. And the reason I do 4 is because I want to set this back to 3 if it reaches 4. So again, what will happen if you go over 3, if you go to 4, it sets you back to 3, and it plays a little sound. If you go to -0, it'll set you back to, well, 0. And in fact, you know what, I should probably, because 0 is technically a value as well, so I'm going to lower everything by 1. So really what's going to happen is, especially with programming in RPG Maker, 0 is considered a value, even though, because 0 is 0, it really means 0. If you have 0 apples, you have no apples. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have null apples instead. So your values are going to be 0, 1, and 2. New game will be the value of 0, continue will be the value of 1, and exit game will be the value of 3. And so let's go and continue from there, because again, this is not even programmed yet. So we need to set some more condition branches. We need to show exactly where these events are actually play out. So let's do a condition branch. Let's do our variable again. If our selection item is at 1, and again, if you remember, I said that new game will be 0, continue will be 1, exit game will be 2. So if it's set to 1, let's take off the else clause. And you know, you're probably going to need like 3 of these, so let's copy and paste them. If it's set to 1, I want to show the picture actually, you know what? Yeah, no, it's already going to be shown. So I want to move the picture 3, because again, our cursor is on level 3, back to its original position at 0, 0. Okay, and so this will by default, place our cursor here because that's exactly where we put it. So when we set to 1, or set to, actually is that 1 or 0? I did it again, sorry. So I'm putting the condition branch to 0. So if it's set to 0, cursor will return to original position. So it'll be over here. So if we set it to 1, we want it to move to this position, which was, back to our sticky note, 142 pixels above its current state. So move picture, let's move that down here too and edit it by the x-axis, 142. And then we need to then move that again, and we're going to add those two. What was that number? 275. So 275. So we need to then edit the condition branches themselves. So I have 0, 1, and 2. I'm going to increase this constant value to 2. So again, what's going to happen is first, when you call this, it's going to see whether or not that your integer value is less than or equal to 0. If it is, it'll bring you back to 0 to make sure that you don't go over anything. It'll then check whether or not you're greater than 3, or greater than 2, excuse me. Then of course I need to change this variable down here because this variable says that it will return you to 3 when I want it to set it to 2 instead. So if you're, there you go. If you ever reach 3, it'll bring you back to 2. And it'll play a sound too, and then it'll check whether it'll check what number you're currently on. If you're either 0, 1, or 2. If you're currently set to 0, it'll move your picture to the original position. If you set to 3, it'll set it to the middle and third. Or if it's set to 2, then of course it's going to set it to exit. And let's see. And what's really nice is that because that you can't be automatically set to 0, everything's going to move in sequential order. So it can't, it's pretty much logic proof. But let's go ahead and click apply and OK. And we're going to use this concept now. And what we're going to do is we're going to call the event anytime we change the variable. So you can see in our left and right events we have the control switch variable +1. We're going to go to the third page, and of course I bet you anything it's not on the third page. Of course it's not on the third page. Common. Where the heck is common? It's like call event or something like that. It's not scripting. Flow control. There it is. Call common event. We'll call it menu system. And then I'm going to copy this. And I'll paste this on the other one as well. So we're calling that the logic that we just created. And you know what, just so the character can't move up, and we're going to use this later, I'm going to create another event right on top of it. So we're trapping the character, except I'm not going to give, there's nothing that's going to be on this event. So again, you're just trapping the character inside that screen. But let's go and check it out. Let's see if it works. Okay, so I'm going to press left. And of course, nothing happened because I didn't have it set to automatic. So let's change it to the trigger to on event touch. And same thing as the other one. And hit play. And let's go. So pressing left again. And do you see how it's now it's perfectly, it's doing it perfectly. So I'm going to hit right again. Doesn't let me. It's trying to, but it's still not letting me. But see, and it doesn't go over, so when I press left again, it automatically works. Okay, I already see an issue. See, because it's not facing our character up. Because I set it to this event, that's why. So player. Now, it was also playing a noise when I didn't want it. I didn't want it to play a noise. So let's go ahead and test that. Actually, let's look at our logic. You know what? It's because I set it to 0. It should be -1. So if it actually hits -1, it'll bring you to 0. That's why it was playing the noise every during that moment. But if you remember, it was going a little slow. So let's go back into that and let's increase the speed of how fast it's going to every single frame. So let's change the frames to 20. I'm going to move everything else to 20 really quick. Oops. 20. Okay. And hit play. Okay, let's test it again. Press left, left. Should stop. Very good. Left, left, stops. Okay? And as you can see, this menu system does work. Very cool. And you can see that the player is interacting with both the left and right chickens, and when I press up, nothing happens. And I'll show you the purpose of the third chicken now. The third chicken, the reason I want it to face up is because no matter what you do, you're going to be facing up. And if you hit the action button or hit Z, enter, or whatever, you're going to be interacting with the top chicken. And the top chicken is going to carry all your events. It's going to say whether or not you selected the first or second or third or whatever your variable is on. And it would just be about creating an additional event to process that. So let's go to our events on that one, and let's make a condition branch. If the selection variable is equal to 0, let's turn off the event handling. And of course copy and paste it, edit it back to 1, 2, 0, 1, and 2. It's going to display something. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see if this works. We're going to have a message box, you selected new game. If you, and then of course I'm going to add this to the other ones as well, then you selected continue. And the third one we're going to do, you selected exit game. Okay. And so again, the variables will change. The left and right chickens will check your variable, and the top chicken will check your selection when you do press enter or something. So let's click OK. Let's see if this works. So again, we'll press right, and then we'll talk to them. You selected continue. Very good. So left, you selected new game. Very good. So, and exit. And let's see if we can manipulate this a bit. I'm going to keep pressing left and right, see if I can just try to break it. And of course, it still works. My cursor is on continue, still selects continue, exit, okay, still works. And that is the basics of creating a custom menu system. I'll do a short video on this in full screen so you can see how it looks a little bit better. And we need to talk about how to then continue some of these actions. Now, new game is going to be easy. All you have to do is teleport it to a different map. Continue, you have to use a little bit of scripting, and exit as well. And you basically just need to pull the scripts from the database manager itself, or the script manager itself. Of course, I'll give you those scripts as well, where you could pull them in a separate video. But this is the very, very basic concepts of how this is going to work. You have a few events that manipulate a variable that has that checks whether or not you're on a variable, and your switches. Although I didn't use the switch this time, your true or false booleans are really the condition statements. It'll check whether or not it's 1, 2, and 3, and whether or not you pressed a button or not, and that pressing button is that actual true or false if the action button is pressed down. And all you have to do now to complete this menu system is add your events inside these columns here. And to demonstrate this, let's create a new map. Don't really care what it is. Under new game, I'm going to delete the text. Let's go ahead and transfer the player to the other map. And of course, because we're going to be changing the character's image, we need to change it back. So change the player's graphic back to whatever the heck I wanted. And then, you know what, let's do one more thing. Let's even add a sound effect if you do select it. So play sound effect, sound effect. That's a good one. And then we're done. And you know what, we could even do, the exit game one will be return to title screen. Basically the original title screen that you're going to remove. And continue we'll have to do later, but... So we're test playing. And just so I can get back to the title screen really easy and show you, let's go to exit game. There you go, takes me back to the title screen. Let's then, new game now. Actually, there you go. And of course, it takes me to a map because I have the parallel processing combat events already displayed, it's still going to be there. You just have to remove them now. But I just noticed an error because my character's facing down. So you know what? By default, I need to. Because you'll notice right now, by default, the character faces down. So if you just want to start the new game immediately because he's facing down, he's not talking to that chicken there. And you know what? If you want to counteract that, you can move everything forward. Put an event right below him. Same character as if this event gets touched. So you would move the player's position, turn him up. Because down isn't a selection, or it can't manipulate anything. You definitely want to make sure that it's logic proof. You can't break it basically. So turn it back to event touch. And then by default, with our starting event, we're gonna automatically move our player facing up. So this should in turn fix everything else. So let's test it. New game. We're gonna hit play, and there you go. It takes us to our next map. And of course, on our next map, you do have to remove everything. But what you can then do, so let's say if you selected new game, I will then move picture of 1, bring it down to 0% opacity. So that way, again, you're fading this menu system out. So we're going to take out wait for completion, take it to maybe half a second. And then we're going to do this to pictures 2 and 3 as well. So 2. Again, all I'm doing is I'm making the... Ah, damn it. And that's what I get for not saving. And all I'm doing is I'm making the transition a little bit smoother, so it looks a little bit nicer when you do move it out. And then what I'll then do, again, to trick everyone to see, so they don't see exactly what's happening, we're going to tint the screen black. So tint screen all the way black, so bring it all the way to the left side. Do not wait for completion. Actually, yeah, wait for the completion. Let's do half a second. And then I'm going to take out the rain effects after this is done. So set weather effects, none. And then to save RAM, I'm going to erase picture 1. And then I'm going to copy this. Erase picture 2. Erase picture 3. And so this should be very smooth. And I should then remove all the images or all the chickens in the player's character as well. So this way you don't even see this even happening. So let's go back to our database, change the actor to none. Okay, and you should now not see any of this happening. There you go. That broke that. I wonder what broke it. I think it's because I'm lagging. Oh, well. Well, that's interesting. Well, let's turn back our character. Let's see what's going on. Oh, interesting. That's what it's doing. It's because I set it to none. It doesn't think that there's anything there. Yeah, you're going to have to create a tile set with no images selected. In fact, you know what? So there's already a tile set here. So let's find nothing. Change this to nothing as well. So switch it back to tile, that one. we're going to have to change everything to that, because again, what's happening is it's going right through it. And so we need a set of something on the same layer. If it's nothing, there's literally, it's null. But this is being transparent, so let's try it again. Interesting, I'm still able to move across it. Oh, you know what it is? It's because, darn it. It's because even the tile set is set to blank. So you're actually going to have to use an actual character set that's blank as well. So you need to basically go into one of these character sets, I think that's blank. Let's see if that one allows me to do it. You'd have to find something that's transparent and not really null. So there you go, I found one. So let's stop that. I'm going to have it, the direction is fixed, that way you don't really see anything. And then select the same object. So I think it was on under door. Oh, nope, that one. Direction fixed. And the same thing for the top event as well, so we don't move right through it. Where's door? That's good enough. Direction fixed. Last one. Door. That one. Direction fixed. Apply. Okay. And now let's go and remove our character's image. I'm not sure if none will do it for him. Let me see. Let's see if this works now. Okay, yeah. Works now. Very good. So, by the way, you'll notice that when you started the game, it kind of went to the screen and then appeared. The way to fix this is to start with a tint screen. So, tint screen, have it all the way black first. Instant, don't wait for completion. Have another tint screen, back to normal. So, actually, the other tint screen's already there. So basically, have a tint screen to set you all the way to black, and then tint the screen to a normal, the normal color that you want. And I'll have this set to, let's do a whole second. So let's test it. There you go. Actually, that went a little too fast. How are we going to do this? It's because this is set to... Let's change this to wait to completion. So what should happen now is it's black, it tints, everything will show up before that, and yeah, let's see how this works. Still does it. And so I really hope that you're able to see what I'm doing here. This is the way that you want to troubleshoot everything. So the issue is because it's showing up, and it's showing up instantly. And the way to counter this is set everything's opacity to 0. And then you want to have some move pictures selected. So move picture 1. I believe picture 1 was the color, so opacity set to 170. Move picture 2 to opacity at 255. To 3, 255, and you do need to take off the no wait completion. And so again, what's going to happen is it's set to 0. It'll then fade in, and then it should look a lot smoother and hopefully look a lot better than what we wanted it to. Okay, so I was still incorrect. 1, 2, 3. Title, UI, show picture, this is incorrect. UI should be 2. Wonder how the heck that changed. Let's move the tint screen after the show pictures. That way the tint screen will happen. Let's turn off wait for completion, so this will happen during it fades in, when it fades in. Let's see how this looks now. There you go. That's much smoother. But anyways, I'm not going to really tweak it too much, just so, because I'm pretty sure you guys get the idea. But let's hit new game. Okay, and that wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be, but I'm going to stop here just for the sake of having the video too long. But that's the basic way to do it. And of course, you do have to replace some of the events and control some of the images as soon as you're finished. And I'll explain that in another video if it becomes a problem. But that should be the basics of how to create a custom menu. And of course, you want to give it a little bit more atmosphere by adding some music and adding some sounds as well. The next example video, or the next couple of seconds, you'll see how it looks when I load the game in full screen, and you should be set. So if you master these techniques and exactly how it's done, you should be able to create everything else, because the concepts are basically the same. But I hope you enjoyed this one. I know it was a little long, and I made some mistakes, but I'm hoping that you were learning as I was trying to troubleshoot some of the issues. So let me know if you have any other questions. You'd probably have to contact me directly for these. And if you do want me to take a look at your project, please let me know.